So Leo, your August 2025 forecast suggests as you come into the month, you may have a particular plan that you want to apply and really have invested a lot of mental energy and enthusiasm too. But I'm just suggesting that things might not go exactly to plan. Now, I hope they do, but if they don't, do try to be philosophical about it, because sometimes in life, and particularly with Mercury retrogrades, when things do get blocked or snared, it's so frustrating and irritating. But actually, in the fullness of time, we understand much more deeply that what eventually ensues is actually right for us. And I want to take you back to the third week of June, because that's when the Sun joined up with Jupiter in a very psychological part of your chart, but also clashed immediately with Saturn and Neptune in the part of your situation to do with truths, higher truths. But you may have become more conscious of something from your past at that time. Your past history, maybe even someone you used to be involved with. Now, when the Sun made his way into your sign on July the 22nd, that enabled you to come more into the present. Obviously very good. You're a fire sign. You want to create and you want to make things happen. You're passionate. But as July came to a close, not only was there a Mercury cazimi, which was an inferior conjunction because of Mercury's retrograde, suggesting some kind of rethinking or delay, but also Venus moved into Cancer, the exact same position that you had on the 21st of June is repeated, but this time the planet of relating, but also of money. You could have a very profound memory at the very start of this month, and it could be to do with your emotional life going back many, many years. And part of it might be to do with your family, because there's a quarter moon on the first day of this month, the Sun in your sign squaring off with the moon in the very deeply emotional Scorpio. Scorpio can be where we hold on to things, sometimes where we can be attached to things that aren't good for us, like grudges. But I feel the combination of Venus in your 12th house, which is very, very profound in terms of understanding our deeper needs, connections and emotions, and the moon in your 4th house of home, family and where you live, competing, if you like, with, in the case of Venus, the fire energy of Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and in the case of the moon, the fire energy of the Sun. So whatever desire you have to make rapid progress at the start of this month, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. Also on the 6th, Mars, the planet of action, desire, assertion, ego, which has been in the part of your scope, helping you to be very proactive in terms of getting the foundations of your world firmer, and indeed everyday finances, that goes face to face with the position of Saturn and Neptune. If you're traveling anywhere over those group of days, whatever you do, don't try to force the pace. I don't feel that you're going to have an accident necessarily, but I don't feel that you'll have a particularly enjoyable journey if you try to time yourself. It's best really to, just go along within your energies and enjoy things. If you can go the scenic route, if you are traveling anywhere long distance, absolutely vital that you really triple check all the documentation, make sure that all your paperwork and jabs and all the rest of it are all up to scratch. But even if you're wanting to discuss something that you feel very strongly about, again, there may be resistance. It might not go quite as quickly as you would like. And that very psychological energy of Venus could be stirring up things so deep down within your emotions. Something, as I mentioned before, that's very historic could come up. You may even find yourself searching online for someone, having a conversation and not reacting in quite the way you ordinarily would. You do like to maintain a presence. It's very important for Leos to be respected. Of course you like to be liked, you love to be loved, you adore to be adored. but you do need to be respected. That's your minimum requirement. And because of the Aquarius full moon on the 9th, it's possible that someone's going to be more outspoken to you about what they see as your weaknesses. And one of the weaknesses they may highlight is your preoccupation with what's important for you, rather than being more conscious of what's important for a group of people, or perhaps your friends. There's also a T-square to Black Moon Lilith on that particular event, again, like the moon at the start of the month, in the deep psychological and sometimes hard to resist energies of Scorpio. So a clash is possible in these early parts of the month because of the intensity that Mars will create. Mars is not at its best in Libra, but I feel because of the current circumstances going on, where there are a lot of polarized viewpoints in the world, and Uranus, if you recall last month on the 7th, moved into a very electric part of your chart for friendships. As Mars inches forwards away from the direct opposition to Saturn and Neptune, he starts to come into contact with Pluto and Uranus in a superb way for you. And then on the 11th, Mercury goes direct. So whatever has been stuck can start to move, but I feel your plan may have evolved. And I think you'll be okay about it, to be honest. But I think what's going to surprise you most of all, how that issue or person or situation that you encountered in your past, or something where you don't feel fully supported by people in your present in a more emotional way, can really come up to the boil as Venus and Jupiter meet in a conjunction exactly on the 12th. You could enjoy a huge connection with someone from your past that's very healing. Venus can be about peace. Jupiter can be about luck. Jupiter in Cancer, of course, is about the emotional dimension, but is exalted. Jupiter is also about faith. It would be a very positive time, not necessarily to think in a material context, but to think in terms of releasing something that's been stuck deep within you for a very long time that's actually not working for you. It could be that you're holding on to something. It may be necessary for your benefit to forgive and let go. But as you do, the freedom that that's going to generate for you can be absolutely fantastic. And that frees you up to move into the moment in a much more dynamic way. Now, with the Sun moving into the practical Virgo on the 22nd, part of your chart to do with the ins and outgoings of everyday finance, but also where you want to get the foundational elements of your life firm. Remember, Mars was there through to the 6th. Something that you were working on then can recommence, or something that you were working on creatively at the start of this month, which didn't go quite as quickly as you would like because of the retrograde, that can start to gain traction. But also it could be challenged, because if you are working in an environment which is dull, repetitive, there's not much acknowledgement for the application and dedication you show. If you're someone who wants to bring a new financial reality to your life, but also creates more flexibility in how you earn a living, I feel the square between Uranus and the new moon, which occurs on the 23rd, is really significant. But then something else happens just as we get to the end of the month, because Venus moves into your sign. And the soul searching that you will likely do with Venus in the 12th house about that past situation, that past relationship, that past loss, the person you're not quite sure of in the present, something to do with sincerity or a lack of loyalty, you're going to really have it all worked out by the time Venus moves into your sign on the 25th. But she goes face to face with Pluto at the end of this month. And you're going to have an opportunity to test out how you have released yourself from an old way of thinking about relationships, an old blockage, an old inhibition, some self-limiting thinking about your self-worth. You're going to feel so gorgeous at the end of this month. Yes, even more gorgeous, Leo. And someone is going to find that very, very tempting. Now, your gorgeousness could come through your sheer talents, or it could come from your personal magnetism and charisma, a very strong part of Leo's nature. But Pluto does provide a potential challenge, because someone may test out if you're being as sincere as they want you to be. So as much as you may emerge and feel, oh, I've got through that Venus transit, through the complex 12th house, fantastic, I've done all this inner work, and then someone's going to come along and test out just how robust that healing has been. Or if you have separated from someone, there could be the chance to go on a new date, perhaps even the chance of a rapprochement with that person. And that's when you're going to find out just the progress that's truly been made. But the most important thing this month, I feel, is to understand your fixed nature. With the fixed energy of the position of the Sun and Mercury at the start of this month, and the quarter moon in Scorpio, and the fixed energy of the Aquarius full moon, flexing is going to be crucial. So understanding it's not actually the journey so much that's going to be just the key, because the journey is likely to be somewhat disrupted in terms of the spiritual dimension. It is going to be the arrival that's so important, and that arrival could see you achieve a significant breakthrough in terms of how you feel about yourself, how available you feel to connect to others. And even if you're not looking for a relationship, whatever you shift inside of you will see the world change towards you in the most lovely of ways. With year 2025 absolutely racing by, you can order your year 2026 natal forecast now, and I'll give you the rest of this year free, but also 30% off and your life roadmap report, the most important document any of us can ever read, helping to give us searing insights into the life patterns that have played out so far, but a much more intimate understanding of how to work with those energies future forwards. Please see the link below for more.